Hey church, Pastor Camron back with you. Excited to be going through the book of Galatians. So let's just pick it up. I'm in chapter 4, starting in verse 12. It says this: Brethren, I urge you to become like me, for I became like you. You have not injured me at all. You know that because of physical infirmity, I preached the gospel to you at the first. And my trial, which was in my flesh, you did not despise or reject, but you received me as an angel of God, even as Christ Jesus. What then was the blessing you enjoyed? For I bear you witness that, if possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and given them to me. Have I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? It's interesting because as we've been going through this book, we have seen the Apostle Paul teaching us through the book of Galatians. We've seen the theologian Paul. And now as we get into this section, we're going to see a little bit more of the Pastoral Paul, as he has this desire to see the church of Galatia prosper and desire to see them grow in their sanctification. So he starts out saying, Brethren, I urge you to become like me. It's kind of a weird thing as we think about it, because we know as humans we're so flawed, we're broken. And so to hear somebody who is teaching others saying, imitate me, the way I kind of begin to interpret it is, hey, don't look at Jesus, look at me. I'm perfect. Look how great I am. Be like me. But Paul's not saying this at all. He is in every way seeking that the Galatians would become like Christ. And he knows that if somebody were to become like Paul, were to seek to act like him, seek to talk like him, they too would in turn be imitating Christ Jesus. And this is something that we as Christians should strive for. We should want that in every way. If somebody else looks to be like us, they naturally will look more like Christ. And as he says this should be the desire of our heart, that we would imitate him in every way. Yes, we're broken, we're not perfect, but we're seeking him as best as we can in every situation. And then he explains it a little bit more. He says, for I became like you. The point of this, and as Paul's going to explain a little bit more, is to encourage the Galatians not to fall back into legalism, as he worked so hard himself to remove himself from being under the law. He worked zealously to be one who fulfilled the law and worked to get to God. Then Christ revealed himself to Paul, and now we know that he worked so hard to come to us, and we just lay down before him and seek his face. So he says, I became like you, Gentiles. I laid myself apart from the law. Now you too don't fall back into the law. And then he reminds them, you have not injured me at all. He's saying, man, there's nothing you've done that's personally offended me, but I have some things I need to share with you. I need to encourage you and correct you. And so he says, he came to them with a physical infirmity. At the beginning, he came with some sort of issue. We're not told exactly what. We're kind of led to believe it might have something to do with his eyes, but we can't be certain about anything. And he says, you didn't reject me. Back then, it would be common for either Jew or Gentile to reject somebody with a physical infirmity like this. We've seen many times throughout the New Testament that those who are paralyzed, those who are blind, were cast out of the gates of the city and rejected. But Jesus was the one who went and would find them. He would heal them. He would spend time with them and really love and encourage them. And Paul's saying, man, you didn't reject me then. When I came to you with this infirmity, you didn't reject me and despise me, but you received me, and you received my instruction. You received Christ from me. Now, he says, as I'm coming to you and I have more correction to give, I have some instruction to give to you, don't reject me. Don't let me become your enemy just because I'm laying down the truth before you. Sometimes the gospel is going to be offensive and it's going to be hard to hear. And right now is a time where people need to hear it. And to encourage you, church, that when those opportunities arise, that we wouldn't fall short and allow fear to cripple us from sharing the good news, but we would do it even though we may be rejected. So Paul lays it out. He says, here it comes. This is what I've got for you. And then he says in verse 17, they zealously court you, but for no good. Yes, they want to exclude you, that you may be zealous for them. But it is good to be zealous in a good thing always, and not only when I am present with you. So as he's saying this, there are people who are coming in to try to take the Galatians and pull them into what they would consider a higher Christianity, right? A more zealous group who are the elite Christians, as they would think. And really, ultimately, what's happening is they are bringing them back into the law. They're trying to flatter the Galatians. They're saying, hey, man, check out these awesome feasts and these different things that we do. It's so great. And they're bombarding them with love and all this flattery. But ultimately, it's for the sake of pulling them back in to circumcision and to the law, and to do these things to try and get higher up in their cult, essentially. And it really made me think that we as Christians need to be very aware that we're not doing similar things. Yes, we're not wicked and we're not trying to pull them into a cult, but how quickly can we be trying to flatter people into the religion? Can we be trying to flatter people into knowing Christ and just make them feel good about themselves and treat them really well at the beginning, but ultimately just to add numbers to our group? But we as Christians should not be so. We should be those who are loving unconditionally and allowing Christ to do the ultimate work of purifying their hearts and drawing them in. We're just here to reveal Him, right? We don't need to puff God up or make Him look cool or make Him look enticing. God is amazing. We just need to reveal Him to the people, and they will come. They will receive Him. And so he lays that out before him. Don't be flattered into these false things, right? Don't be flattered into the world. It's going to taste good for a time, but ultimately it doesn't care for you. It's going to spit you out. Be drawn into Jesus Christ, because He's got so much greater things for you. Paul continues, he says, "My little children, for whom I labor in birth again until Christ is formed in you," right? He's saying, man, I already labored in birth pains to show you who He is. I'm having to do that again because you're falling away and I need to bring you back. He says, I'll do it as much as I need to until Christ is formed in you. That you wouldn't just hear and receive, but you would actually remember it. You would hold fast to it. As he said, not only when I'm gone, or not only when I'm present, but also when I'm apart. That you would continue in this. And especially now, you guys, as we're separated and we don't have the same church, that you would be zealously seeking Him every single day, rather than just on a Sunday when you get to come together in fellowship, rather just than a Wednesday when we get to be together at church. That we would be seeking Him every day and allowing Him to satisfy us and fulfill us. And then he closes my section, at least, with verse 20. "I would like to be present with you now and to change my tone, for I have doubts about you." He's saying, man, my children, I love you and I want to be with you. I don't want to have this tone of correction and rebuke, but until you get this, until you receive it and hold fast to it, I will, because I care for you so, and I'm going to lay down the truth for you. Man, we love you guys and we miss spending time with you. Let this be an encouragement to not fall into the things of the world, to not be drawn in, but in every way that we would be revealing Christ even when it's difficult and having that zealousy for Him. We love you guys. Have a great day.